Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Kishan. Good evening. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneur Show. Thank you so much for taking your time out to be here with me today on this podcast.
Yep, thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, Kishan. Kishan, you're doing multiple things right now. You're wearing multiple hats for different organizations right now. But there's a point where you started your entrepreneurial journey. So if you can walk us through your journey up until the point you became an entrepreneur and the reasons behind it and stuff like that, that'd be a good starting point.
Yep, thank you. So, yeah, if just looking back at the journey, actually, it's a quite a journey. I mean, it's been close to now 19 plus years overall. In that 19 plus years, initially I started my career with the banking segment, and moving on, those were the initial years where you finished your graduation and you're exploring in the things, which segment you would rather interests you or fit in, and that's how the journey with the banking segment started. But sooner or later, that's not the space which I was looking in terms of to grow myself or look forward. So that's where post which I took a short in terms of a break and doing my no qualification with IIM Calcutta, and something interested me in towards more of business development, consultative sales, which a lot of people or in the industry do hesitate actually to get into any of these segment the moment it comes in terms of a sales or a business development or
Right.
marketing. So my journey started, yeah, post the banking segment. I have been into working as a consultant with multiple companies, organizations, right away from the medical segment to the education segment in terms of training. I have worked with numerous professional qualification bodies, which are based out of UK and US, in terms of establishing their professional qualifications, integrating with the university colleges and other institutions, where students or basically learners overall, they could be from university colleges, they could be from working professionals from different organizations who would want to upskill themselves, no, and this is something which is more relevant in the market, what the businesses
Right.
demands, these qualifications. So that's the space which I've been working till now. And in the year 2019, I thought, why not launch actually? That's where we started Dolphin Learning Solutions. The concept or the idea started actually from there, where no college and universities curriculum is kind of a based out of a theory, and of what if the student faces a requirement to apply knowledge in their future, thereby have a lot of information in varied subjects covered, and they have no idea of in terms of to evaluate what exactly the current industries or businesses require in terms of the demand. So Dolphin Learning Solutions is one where we, in terms of look for aiming to achieve this more in a three-step approach. One is creating the various platforms which can provide seamless learning to the learners with current and relevant in-depth perpetual learning and trainings. We use innovative technology through augmented reality, virtual reality, simulated perpetual learning methods for more effective learning experiences. And thirdly, in terms of to create more creative thinkers using convergent and divergent thinking learning solutions.
Got it.
So that's the overall journey which has been.
Got it. So when you to get a qualification from IMC, that's when you were still in the banking segment. Is that correct? That's where you decided to kind of go and do something.
That's right.
Got it.
Yes.
And you did your specialization in business development, sales, and marketing, and those areas, right? Okay. So because
That's
you
right.
also mentioned that that's something what you focused, and you also said people are not really interested to put themselves out there in those domains. Is that what led you to kind of start to bridge the gap between education and skills that there is today, the skill gap in that domain, or or what made you get into the education domain, you know when there are so many things out there?
Yeah, maybe if I look back actually 15 years back, when during my journey when it started more towards an education segment, and taking myself an example as a young learner, being in the market, I was struggling in terms of the information which is needed. I know that there are today information is in handy social media to multiple other platforms, but in terms of it, how much relevant information is it for the end user? There's a lot of information which is now available, but back then there was hardly we were aware of it, except that for some of the common areas which any parent or anybody would look for it is there is a commerce segment, there's a science segment, there is engineering, medical. But what is how the industry is moving ahead, and what are the kind of technological advances which is happening at the same time, and how do you keep up the pace in terms of oneself of upskilling yourself in the market. Uh, so these were some of the thoughts which came into the mind, and while I started exploring in various segments, working with the right way from training the students who have opted for the medical licensing examinations to students who are pursuing their undergraduation at certain various universities and colleges with just a plain BCom or a BBA degrees which is there. What value addition or proposition one can bring in terms of how can I add value to whether these institutions so that we can add up more additional skill sets in these kids or the students, so that they become a more of market ready. Uh, so that's where there are multiple qualifications and basically which are available, which is more industry relevant. And the idea is was in terms of to having this information bring in terms of to the end users, that these are the various options available which one can opt for or look through in terms of making a building their career in terms of more futuristic base. Because today technology is advancement has happened so much from back then where I see to now, it's huge. So that's the thought actually which overall started.
Got it, Kishan. Kishan, coming to 2019 when you first started Dolphin Learning Solutions, one of the things for anybody is their first client or the first sale that they make. Uh, who was your, I mean, not who was, how, what is the story of your first sale or your first client? What did you have to do to land them?
See, this is it's a multi-billion dollar question. See, what I believe actually as an individual, correct? See, the moment when you get in terms of a sales as a word or the segment, it is not about doing a hardcore sales. In terms of it is a genuine connect when you meet up a client and take them through in terms of what is that their offering is there. Maybe understanding the need or the requirement which they have it, and to understand how it can be integrated. May not be all the places where you visit actually where things would work out, but if one should go with an open mindset in terms of first is understanding maybe the requirements, backgrounds, and how both this can be integrated. Maybe just go with the open mindset, not doing a hard sales. No, nobody likes that one, but genuinely building those relationships with each and every individual or a client you come across cross paths. No, that's what happened with me as well. So no, during overall, where I have worked with multiple professional qualification bodies and various members of these bodies. So having worked for so long, the moment I said I'm getting into a consulting, actually my own organization with consulting part of it during the education segment, and so one of my earlier clients said, "Why we have a something which there is a problem and we want to address it actually in an institution. How can we bridge that actually? Or what can you assist in terms of it?" That's how the journey started. These are through relationships which you have built it over years together, nurtured it actually, and more so over it is rather than just the individual person about it. It's about the kind of work which is being carried in the segment as well. No, they have where they have seen in the past and till in the present in terms of how the entire implementation or the delivery happens. So that's what the first thing actually landed it through known sources, people whom I have worked with. Some of them past they have been my
Right.
clients. So now I'm working closely with them.
Got it,
Yes.
Kishan. So I understand that it was, through a referral or, through one of your past relationships that you had built, who happened to be your first client. But would you say that your
Yes.
major channel of acquiring customers for Dolphin Learning Solutions is through your network only, or do you have other channels as well?
Um, where the whole idea when I started actually Dolphin Business Learning Solutions, no, it was not a model where I created, no, in terms of I want to make it as a like a conglomerate or a business from a money
Right,
perspective, monetary, but in terms of looking at how can I add value to society at large or the basically the overall people or student segment learners overall, whether they are a part of an institution, university, colleges, or learners from the working
right,
professional segments. Uh, so I maintained and restricted myself in terms of working with few set of clients where I would wanted to spend actually the time in terms of assisting in building and developing their frameworks, course frameworks, or what other through more into collaborative mode, because not every as an organization where I started, it is not everything which Dolphin Learning Solutions has built in, but it has also collaborated with many more other partnered with many other businesses, small, medium, and large, where in bringing in their element as well, collaboratively together to grow, uh, to do the larger good for in terms of the learners community. So yes, that is what has been
got
which
it,
has
Kishan.
helped.
Kishan, you spoke about. Sorry, can you help me recollect the word professional certification bodies? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so I mean, we know actually in India when we talk about the
Right,
professional courses, no, we have undergraduation courses, there's master's degree, post graduation, then you have when we look in terms of medical profession, it is again a professional kind of a qualification, whether it is engineering or we have our the chartered accountancy qualifications, which is again comes under the professional qualification, more related to an Indian segment or the company secretary and many more similar towards it. There are much more other professional qualifications which exist globally as well, which are very in terms of working in terms of whether it is a be it a management accounting, whether it is in terms of financial accounting segment, or whether it is no bringing in finance for non-finance people. There are chartered institutes which is working in terms of the what can be done more better in terms of the research and growth, or bringing in a curriculum in terms of marketing segment. So these are the qualifications which these professional bodies work closely with their employers in terms of understanding what is in the current relevant in the market, or the curriculum needs to be there. It gets vetted by these industry experts and the employers, through which it is more relevant in nature. If somebody is pursuing something, and these are more case based actually, where the learner is in terms of just not learning about about a conceptual knowledge, but in terms of how do you apply that in a realistic scenario. And the professional qualifications, that's where they help in terms of for each of the learners in terms of bringing it more one step closer to the business side environment, understanding and doing it. Today, if we take an example of saying it, doctors actually who are just learning, I mean, they are from a medical
right,
segment, right? But they also end up in terms of opening their institutes, could be nursing
right.
clinics, or so for them, their expertise in terms of finance is hardly anything. So if that's where we said, can we introduce something finance for non-finance segment people? How short and in terms of bite-sized pieces in terms of we can build in terms of so where they can understand these basic concepts, which will help them in terms of for their own business ideas, or maybe for engineering background people who are pursuing a BTech, or an architect, or they might be working in terms of an artificial intelligence and machine learning qualification. Can we add in terms of a management accounting qualifications, which will add in terms of understanding them and build their own pricing strategies, taking the cost leverage, cost management, and many more. So, that's how it's all
Got it,
about
Kishan.
it.
Kishan, Dolphin Learnings, you're working with both the stakeholders in terms of students as well as in terms of employers who are going to employ these people who come with skills, right? And one of the things that you're trying to do is bridge the skill gap. So what are the current difficulties that you see in the current system that are existing? Why is this gap still existing even though we've been talking about it from a long time?
See, it's somewhere the kind of the education segment, or the way we have been been studying actually more of rote memorization from our childhood, actually, starting from our schooling segment till we get into a plus two, or maybe then carrying it in terms of a degree, actually, where there is certain curriculum which is there built, and you have a certain X number of units to complete it. Maybe somewhere in the entire segment, it's kind of a lost which has happened, where identifying what's more relevant from the industry perspective. Lately with the new education policy, which has also been implemented, and Karnataka being one of the states which has been the first state to implement the new education policy, where learners have an advantage of doing a 4-year degree course, an undergraduation program, and they can graduate with an honors degree, which also helps them in each year in terms of just not only doing their undergraduation program, but also additionally in terms of maybe while they are studying, they can intern with organizations, or they can also pursue actually some of the integrated courses which would help them in terms of making it more market ready, adding those digital part of the skill sets, which is also equally, rather than learning after completion of the degree, can these things be integrated, which is more relevant? Could be it was on the segment of learning a bit of a coding to understand the AI/ML, or how does the advanced Excel works, Python, Tableau, and many more in the segment. So the idea is to, in terms of equip them with more of skills which is more relevant, add up those digital skills, build their leadership skills, along with people skills, business skills, and technical skills, depending on the domain they are pursuing it. Because by and large, whether you would want to get into any organization, or start your own venture, or maybe want to join your family business, these are some of the skill sets which are very, very crucial and very important, actually, one needs to kind of build and learn as well.
Got it, Kishan. Kishan, you spoke about AI ML, while you answered the previous question, and also going back to the thing that you're mainly doing, bridging the skill gap. Of late, since the last couple of decades, or at least 1.5 decade, a lot of importance, a lot of demand has been there for computer science related courses. Being in that domain, do you see that the demand for mechanical engineering, electrical, and all those things have dropped significantly in the last decade or so? So many colleges have shut down their departments when it comes to these branches. Is it true that these branches are kind of, now is the time for students to look at these branches as well? Are they going to be in trend in the next few years? Do you have any idea on that?
Yes, because every single field today, sometimes when we look in terms of it, while the way it is, advancement is happening in every segment. If we look in terms of it, we would want to adapt it, correct? Whether it is a technology, or even when we use certain gadgets, it could be, we would want to have the latest version of it, or the latest part of it, so that we are updated in terms of it, at par with everyone. Similarly, yes, every individual needs to look in terms of all the aspects. First is in terms of the first thing is in terms of they have to understand actually which is the kind of a segment they would want to build their career with, and at the same time do some amount of thorough research in terms of what is that their kind of individual skill sets which they currently have, and where they need to add more actually relevant ones, and then you have people in there in the market actually who are in terms of able to help in terms of uh, take them that journey actually and make them completing it. So yes, there has been where the demand I see today, a lot of people, the students do not join for civil engineering actually, which is actually absolutely, if you look in terms of the uh, I've seen people getting into doing a civil engineers and later moving into doing a or software courses to getting into either software testing or moving to a different, changing their verticals. While that's there, but they should also, in terms of maybe that mentoring or guidance is needed. That no, each individual segment has demand in the market in terms of how do you go about it. That is something which is required. But every single uh, whether stream which is exists has a value in the market and has a demand. Yes, there has been trends we can see that which is some it has come down. Certain times there has been a rise, but yes, it is kind of it is what it is. But
Got it, Kishan. Kishan, when it comes to your offerings, there is delivery on both the sides. For example, when you go to the student side, you got to deliver your content. When you come to the organization side, also you got to deliver your content. So, is there any difference in terms of the way you deliver your trainings to both of these sections?
so yeah, so the delivery mode is more into hybrid. Today, you one can one have to be in terms of flexible as well. From both the sides, it is applicable. Whether I'm a learner or where basically I'm the one who is in terms of delivering it from the delivery side itself. Um, uh, so there are methods actually where you have certain sessions which happens face to face offline in campus, and at the same times there are sessions which are conducted online as well, depending on where we bring in terms of a lot of industry experts or subject matter expertise who are from the industry. If a learner is learning about a part of a topic actually, and if at the same time there's an industry expert coming from the industry talking about it, how does in a our practical aspect it works, it creates a lot of value add. So
Got it, Kishan. Uh,
yes, so there are it's a hybrid mode if
got it.
we opt for it.
Would you say the majority is moved to online now, or is it still equal between face to face and online as far as the delivery is concerned?
Majority, well, yeah, the delivery has been actually available from both the sides, while certain countries where I have seen actually it is completely moved online. Maybe working professionals would prefer actually from a travel perspective to do at their comfort, actually, at their convenient time on upskilling themselves. Uh, but we still see the trend actually in the those institutional or a university or K-12 segment or a college setup, no, where they still are comfortable actually with a face-to-face delivery. Somewhere that builds kind of a more of a connect actually in terms of understanding the content. So it has to be there has to be a mix between the both actually. So it cannot be a purely which if we deliver do it offline only or have it only online, both would not work. There has to be a balance between the
Got
both.
it, Kishan. Kishan, for companies, I'm asking this on behalf of entrepreneurs who are offering something similar to yours. What I've heard from people is when you're offering it to organizations or universities, mostly the tech platform that they have in terms of the internal delivery and logging ins and all that is, they ask you to kind of join their platform, where they probably create a temporary ID for you, or if you're doing it for a long term, you kind of be in their system, so you want to be there in multiple systems. So keeping this in mind, do companies like yours need to have your own tech stacks for your offerings?
Depends actually on what segment of the product which is one is being worked upon. Primarily for taking an example of my own in the organizations, the majority of these the qualifications where we in terms of bring in through more of a collaborative mode. So it is about doing it offline at the same time. Yes, some of the area segments would require that kind of a platform, technical platform to learn as well. Maybe it could be in terms of whether you want to assess the candidates or a segment of learners actually know how their journey was before they started, and how it is kind of a progressing, and what has one achieved. Everything is on objective and outcome based. So yes, technology and the platforms are equally needed. Depending on uh, product to product, the segment it will vary on and
Got it, Kishan. And for your online mode deliveries of whatever trainings that you offer, what is the current set of tech tools that you use?
online delivery. Mostly it is on in terms of when we tools which we require. Look in terms of it is the platforms basically. Know how do we I mean use first is primary. Again, it becomes a question in terms of whom are we, who's the target audience, okay, and then are we like certain organizations prefer to have it on certain platform if they have their own kind of an online delivery method. Maybe some uses Microsoft. Teams. Some are comfortable with doing Zoom sessions. Some are comfortable with Google Meet. Every organization have their own licensed version of it. So we largely go with the organizations in terms of as per their preference, which they already have it. Uh, it's kind of flexible in nature as per requirement. Actually, it's what been looked upon. So it is not one segment which will fit in, but yes, to have something of a unique of your own, which also helps in terms of keeping it kind of a uniformity with all the segments. But from also we need to understand from a data and privacy which is equally important. So organizations or institutions would prefer to have it in on their own platforms which they
Got it,
have.
Kishan. And if we have to talk about some of the uh, shortcomings, right, when it comes to the tech platforms in terms of delivery of your trainings, what do you think there is still missing in the tech space? What are the things that can make it even better? Or are we going to see a point when everything's going to go 100% online with the incoming of certain kind of tools?
Uh, there is. I mean, this is kind of a. If I need to put it across, my personal actually take on this question is no. Yes, while most of the segments are moving online and online platform, where the learners also prefer it actually, which as per the convenient which they can access as per their pace, which they can maintain the pace as well. But when we look in terms of a offline mode, no, the human connect part of it is what makes we have seen a more difference. While yes, technology and going online, it's good, but there has been a significant kind of a difference when there is a session which is being delivered in person and offline face to face to a session where no. Uh, See, it has to be active. While the person who is delivering and the end user who is receiving as well, no, it has to
Right.
be more interactive. And any online platform and online sessions, no, if it's not an interactive, it kind of becomes too monotonous, no, and your attention span is very less.
Got it, Kishan. And you also spoke about
So yeah, there has to be
got
a
it.
balance.
You also spoke about virtual reality and AR, VR in the beginning. You also employ these things to deliver your trainings and stuff. I mean, how practical are they, or in what stage are they? And are they, in a matured stage, or are they in very early stages?
Currently, they are in early stages. I wouldn't say matured. This is we are exploring this method. When we look at learners, actually, we also need to identify. there are some learners who pick up things fast actually. At the same time, there are certain learners who take up their own moderate time and space to understand things, grasp these concepts. And we also have some of them slow learners. So it has to be a balanced kind of a delivery activity in terms of it, no, where you're able to cater in terms of all the three segments. So we are looking in terms of multiple. How can it be made actually in terms of using virtual reality? Can we know along with it? How do we utilize that as a platform? And at the same time, how can we make it more interactive or more kind of
Right.
activity based, or it could be more of can we bring in more gamification part of it
Right.
actually in terms of adding it up. So yes, so there has been in the market a lot of adoption of for these segments as well. But
I lost your audio, Kishan. Yeah, you're back now. Got it. Got it. So, yeah,
yes,
you
am
are.
I audible
Kishan,
now? Yeah.
you also spoke about, there are some organizations who prefer to have their own platforms in space. You just in place. You just have to just log into theirs. Has there been situations, where you had to use your own platforms for your delivery and your business offerings?
At the moment, we haven't come across anything which we have where we had to use it in our platform, because most of the my requirements which has come in terms of it, the clients have preferred it in terms of embedding in terms of in their platforms. So that is something which has been, I currently I'm working with primary in terms of certain colleges, university segments, and a few from the corporate segments. So kind of we merge along with their platform, existing platforms, and work along together.
Got it, Kishan. Kishan, I think any all the questions that I wanted to ask you and the topics that I want to discuss, I think I've done all that. If there's anything else that you want to share to the listeners, please feel free to. In terms of, if you'd want to share anything more about what you do,
Uh, yeah.
and if there is
So
anything else, probably my question didn't cover, you can feel free.
I mean, I say, I mean, kind of for every just a single thought which comes to my mind is, no, you have to keep exploring actually. No, don't uh, get stuck actually with just one thought and one process and idea. I mean, even if you come up with something, an idea, and you would want to make it happen, and you fail again in that, it is okay. There is a learning from that as well, and keep moving, keep exploring actually, and have that confidence in oneself that no, things can happen. It might take a time, but it will always happen. So keep exploring, and that's
Okay,
that's from
Kishan.
my
Thank you
end.
so much. It was a pleasure having you on our podcast.